Hi guys, it's Nancy here. I just wanted to share with you a little something before I go into the main video. This is for a layout that's going to go up on the GoGo Getaway blog, and I'll put the link down below in the cleavage bar, as I like to call it. And I'm using a technique that was used at one of the retreats last year, and this is about carving your own stamps. I bought this stamp carving kit from Stamping Up about 2 years ago, and it's just sat in the box. I'm not quite sure what, there's a crochet hook in there, and even better, a light up crochet hook. So yeah, I bought this and it came with the rubber, and it came with basically lino cutting tools, and the blocks. So I thought, you know, the technique was originally using rubbers or razors if you're in the States, but this is very similar, pliable stuff. And I want to do a layout about my whale watching. You'll know, if you've watched my channel for a while, that I did some videos last year using several bits from My Mind's Eye and that, but I wanted to do something using a stamp, so I thought I would make a whale stamp. So I've just drawn this. It is supposed to be kind of a little bit cartoonish, but I've just drawn this little blue whale because that's what I saw. So I'm going to carve this out, hopefully. Hopefully, fingers crossed it works. I've got a little bit of an offcut that I've just cut off here because it came as a block, and I'm going to do some like bubbles and then use that to print on my layout. So I just wanted to show you this, and then I'm now going to sit and carve it, and then I'll be back to show you the results of this, and then go into the layout. So thank you very much guys, I'll be back in just a second, and hopefully I'll have all my fingers intact and won't have carved any, you know, any grooves out of them. So thank you very much guys, see you in a sec. Hi guys, so I'm back, and I've carved my stamp. Here he is, here's my little whale. There's also, let me just balance him on there. Whoops. There's also a couple of bubbles. These are actually on like the stamping mat stuff, so it does mean that I've made it, I say because it's quite sticky still, I've made it like a stamp, so it'll stick on my stamp block. I've just done a few, this is just a scrap piece of paper. I've done a couple of impressions here. So now I'm going to work out how to add this on my layout. So looking forward to having a play. So right, let's go to the process. Hi guys, right, so on to the process. I'm going to just change my camera angle here because I realised I was just a little bit off. So I've just put these 3 photos together on a strip of scrap paper, so I knew where I roughly wanted to go with it. And now I'm going to start adding some background texture. So I'm going to be using my stencils. I'm using Distress ink. One's broken china, one's something sapphire, I don't know. Anyway, these are the ones. I have had these Distress inks. I brought them off QVC years ago, like 6 years ago. 6 or 7 years ago, and they're still fine. They're a little bit, some of them are a little bit dry, but yeah, I've never re-inked them or anything, so, and they work really cool. So I'm just using a couple of different stencils. This is one that I cut on my silhouette, just using some mylar. It's like a little starburst one. I do like this one, I use it quite a lot, and it's one of those things I always say, I must make more stencils, but again, never do. So I know roughly because where those column of photos are going to be, so I'm just building up this background texture using those. Just going to place my photo on to check that it's all okay. Now I'm going to add some mist. I use the sea foam, and I'm just putting that over and just sprinkling that on. And that's going to give a nice kind of bit of sparkle. So now I'm going to look at adding some other ones, and I'm going to use my stamps that I made, and this is just the little bubbles, and I'm using this paler Stamping Up ink that I had on my desk, and I'm going to use that. to start with, just to add some little bubbles, and I'm going to kind of cluster them together. I've got 2 together and not a little single one. And then just going to stamp them randomly, because yeah, that's what I like. Love this background paper. This is actually from, I think it's Million, was it Million June? Was that a collection? Why does that vaguely ring through? It's a wood grain, a distressed wood grain, or wood panel bit. And of course, I love my wood grain. So, just going in and adding some more of these. They do look quite dark compared to what else I put on there, but once the photos are on there and the other layers, it'll distract from it a little bit. So this is some grey distress ink. Just popping that over the top. And then this is a card which came from the Chamel collection. And I had it just lying around on my desk, and it was the right kind of colours. So I just use my stamps to add some bubbles on it. I'm just stamping off behind where my photo is going to go, so I can get some sort of 2nd generation stamping. And so now I roughly know where things are. That wasn't quite straight, so I do just trim it down. Those things don't normally bother me too much, but you know, thought I'd make an effort. So now I know roughly where things are going to go. And just distressing the edges of this. And now I'm going to start sticking everything down. So these are 3 photos that, as I said, are all from my whale watching trip. The bottom one you can see my boyfriend's head just poking in there with his iPhone trying to capture some of the whale sprays, because it was a little bit stressful trying to get pictures. And then halfway we decided actually we shouldn't really worry about pictures, we should be enjoying it more. I've done several layouts about this whale trip before, so if you do check back on my channel you will see those if you haven't already seen them. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. It was for my birthday. It was fantastic. It was just the 2 of us. It was a really, really great day. So I've just pulled out this, which is a really, really old Basil basic stitching template, and this is just circles. And so I've just put some circles in there because I decided I wanted to add a little bit of texture with some stitches, just to add another sort of circular element to the background. Kind of end up covering most of it up, but it is what it is. So now I'm going to be stamping up my big whale stamp. I'm putting a lot of ink on there, so these are a little bit dry, and then you get to see my cracking hat there. It's a beautiful hat. And I'm going to do a 2nd generation stamp there as well. You can see I'm whacking a lot of pressure on there. I actually get 2 really good impressions out from that, and I like how they look like, with the distressing, they look like a lino cut. So I just turned the camera off while I did my stitching, and I also cut out my 2 different whales there, and now I'm going to start constructing the layout. And this is where it just kind of does go quite quick really, because it's, you know, it's quite a simple layout. You've seen, if you've watched my channel as well, you've seen me do this kind of layout quite a lot. It's my go-to kind of way of putting several photos on a layout, and that is a kind of column of 3. I did reduce these slightly because there was just so much spare C that I decided to cover those up. So here I'm just pulling out different scraps that I've got on my desk, and I do decide that I'm going to put both of those whales on there. We did see 2 different blue whales, but we did see a juvenile blue whale, which was about 30 foot long, crazy big. So I thought they would just go quite good on the bottom there. Just going through some die cut packs that I found in my stash, long forgotten. This is some Carpe Diem, and then the other one is a Fancy Pants one. So I'm just going through here. So I completely forgot I had these. And there was an anchor in one, so that was going to work perfect. I know I've used anchors as motifs on the other layout that I've done sort of in this sort of series. And so then I'm going through this, and I bring out some more clouds, because there was that cloud that said dream big, and I kind of like it because I never dreamed that I'd actually see whales in the wild, and I did. So I do that. I pull out a couple of banner pieces that I don't end up using because the text doesn't really go, but so I just go through these. Again, these I'm going to add into my big embellishment box, which is now where I'm keeping all my embellishments because it's just a bit easier. I do have another embellishment box, but that's under another pile of stuff where I tipped loads of embellishments before, so I really need to find that out as well. So now I'm going to start building this cluster up. Excuse me, guys. So I've got a little ticket here that says date. So I'm gonna use my wet glue to do this because I just find it easier when I'm just lifting up the layers and sticking them down. And so I'm just going to start adding these pieces in to my cluster, so vaguely knowing where these whales are going to go, so they don't get covered up. And I use my ATG because I don't push it down hard, so I can still move them about. So I'm just looking at my selection of other bits and pieces here. So I've got these clouds, I say, which are either from the Fancy Pants or the, what's that thing, Carpe Diem. So I've just built a little cluster up there, and so I was going to put these in, but I can't really get them to work. And the teal, I hadn't really got much teal on there, so I'm kind of happy without them. I put that anchor in, love that, tuck that in the clouds. As I said, that just picks up the nautical theme of my other layouts. And I had these stickers. These were some old My Mind's Eye stickers, so I was just looking at adding in maybe some of these labels. I do just add a little label in there at the bottom, and that's got a little pop of silver on. So again, that's just going to bring in some of the metallic that was in that Heidi Swap Seafoam Heidi, what's it called? Colour Shine. That's the one. Seafoam Colour Shine. I think it's because, of course, Inky Quill calls it Heidi Shine, and that's what my brain wants to think. So I'm just sticking that down. That's just going to help ground that bottom ghost stamped blue whale. I've got a little arrow here that I'm going to have pointing off to the side. So I just kind of pulling out, going, do I want to add any of these other bits? Do they work? Do they not work? And of course, you all know, if you watch my videos, I can go a bit layering crazy with my clusters, but I'd already covered up quite a lot of my stitching, so I didn't want to put too much on there. So I'm just looking at these other stickers, just seeing if any of those work, and this didn't. There was a little seahorse to look at adding, but I thought, no, that doesn't really go. This one had a narwhal on, but it had also a little starfish, so I do end up adding that as well, because that looks quite cute. So now I'm just looking at what other bits I pulled out when I first thought about this layout. Some of these were in bits that I'd use in other layouts in this series, for this part of my album, so that's going to help just a little bit of continuity. I'm not sure what I'm doing now. Oh, I just cutting this little label off. This was what I'm mounting my whole layout in, was a piece of Ellie Studio paper, and there was this little, the bottom strip was all different label tabs, so I thought that would work fine. So I'm just ending up a little place where I can stick that, and that royal blue is what I'm going to mount the whole layout in. So it's just going to bring that bit of that to the layout as well. So just end up popping that down there in that bottom cluster. And I'm liking how that looks. I'm going to pop that darker one of the whales up on a piece of 3D foam. Not thick 3D foam, but just a little bit. Just to give it a little bit of dimension. So now I'm just going through my various little pouches that I keep stuff in. I'm not very organised at my scrapping stuff, which is good in a way because I'm discovering stuff that I've forgotten, lost. But I've mainly, the last 4 or 5 times I've scrapped is been away from home, so I've got most of my stuff just sitting in my little travel tote. So yeah, and things in little baskets. I found up this box of all my roller stamps, which I had actually lost this, but I found it now. So I pull out a couple here. I've mainly been using my Chamel date stamp, but I couldn't locate that because that was in something else. So pull out this one, which is a Dear Lizzie one. So I'm just changing the date on there. Went to check on my phone and then thought, no, it's my birthday, remember. So I'm just putting that there and stamping just on the little date tab the dates. And then this is a Chamel one. So I'm just stamping out here some bits that say remember when, and I'm just going to add that into the background again over those layers. If I thought about it, I could have added it when I was doing my original background layouts, but this is fine. It works. I'm happy with it. So just dot those around using those 2 different colours of distress inks. It just kind of helps tie everything in together. So now I've got those on there, I'm going to look at putting my title on as well, and just straightening up some of my photos there. Going to pull my 3D foam out. As I said, I don't use, this is quite thin 3D foam, so I'm conscious of how some of my layouts are quite thick, so I'm quite conscious of that, so I'm just trying to keep them a bit skinnier. So now I'm happy with where that's going to be placed. I'm just going to peel that off and stick that down. I could have speeded this up a little bit, couldn't I, guys? But, you know, it's fine. You get to see me work at the speed I kind of vaguely work out. So now I'm going to look at my title and... oh no, I'm going to add some more bubbles. My brain is all over the place sometimes while making layouts. I kind of go, yeah, just need some more bubbles. And I do actually really like those bubble stamps, those kind of rough things, so I think that's definitely something I'm going to do again. Oh yes, I've had these turquoise gems that were on my desk, so I end up sticking 6 of those on there, just in a random sort of trio. Love it how they look. Kind of look at what else I've got lying around on my desk. These are they're kind of like puffy stickers, they're like shiny ones, and I decided just to put a simple title on which says look, because it kind of says it all really. And I've got space to do a tiny little bit of journaling in there as well, but there's quite a lot of journaling for this whale watching trip, so it'll kind of just go along in the story. See my cracking hair there as well, my hat. So just sticking all that down. There was some little asterisks on here, so I'm just adding those as well. Just again add that little bit of shiny texture, and just pulls in that blue of the title. And these look like they were fancy pants. Again, anime moustache. And now I'm going to mount my layout. So this is this piece of Ellie Studio paper. And as always, I end up ripping it when I do this. I've got it out the middle to use on something else. Didn't end up using it on this layout. And then I'm going to pop that down and call it really. So I'm actually really happy how this came out. And those stamps are the main focus of this page, which is what I really, really wanted. So do go over to the blog. I'll put a link down below where you'll be able to go over to the GoGo Getaway blog and see my take on this. Also, if you scroll back through, you'll see all the other fabulous people who are on the team with me and all the lovely pages they do. So thank you very much, guys, for watching this, and I will speak to you all again very, very soon. Bye!